Welcome to episode 17 of the Soulful Menopause podcast. This episode is about awakening your fire moon goddess. It's about taking you on a magical journey to crack open the rocks of your past to find jewels of wisdom hiding inside. And what on earth all of this has to do with psychic abilities. Welcome to the Soulful Menopause podcast. Discover how to transform the chaos of menopause into vibrant health and a soulful life you'll love. I'm Sally Love, natural nutritionist and soul wisdom coach. I want you to experience a soulful menopause that'll guide you into the best years of your life. Hello, Fire Moon Goddess. How are you? I am so pleased you're here with me today. So, awaken your Fire Moon Goddess and discover your jewels of wisdom. That sounds juicy, doesn't it? Well, I want to speak to you about that today, about the powerful process that menopause stimulates within us, where we get the opportunity to crack open the rocks of our past experiences and discover a hidden jewel inside. Yes, I've recently found a hidden jewel inside one of my rocks, and it's something really powerful, and I'm going to share it with you here today. So, menopause is a very powerful rite of passage. You know, it's when we step through a portal into another new cycle of our lives, but we don't actually step through that portal instantaneously. It doesn't just happen in a single moment. I mean, you don't just simply step through into your new cycle of life the moment that you stop having your periods and enter menopause. It's a journey that can take several years. It takes time to travel from perimenopause through to menopause and postmenopause. It can be a journey that starts when you're 40 and even sometimes before then and continues until you're 60. And well, because some of us are living longer now, this next cycle of your life could be the next half of your life. You may have only actually lived half of your life by the time you enter menopause. So, Fire Moon Goddess, if menopause is making you feel old, if it's making you feel as if you're running out of time to live your dream life, then please remember this. Please remember that you're only halfway through. Now, menopause isn't just about your hormones and the fact that you stop having periods. It's not just about the symptoms of menopause and what's happening to your physical body. Menopause not only stirs things up physically, but it stirs things up emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well. You know, I often talk about the chaos of menopause because it certainly can seem like a time of chaos, and it is really. It's a time when everything is being stirred up within you. And you'll see that beautiful chaos happening, not just internally, but externally as well, you know, with your career and your relationships and where you live, and all sorts of things can start bubbling up to the surface and changing in front of your eyes. But I call it a beautiful chaos because even though some of that chaos can be challenging, and yes, it can be really challenging. I've been there, I know from personal experience. Wow. You know, it's actually providing you with an opportunity to totally transform your life, or transform your life as much as you wish to transform it. Let's put it that way. You know, you have the opportunity at menopause to transform into a way of life that's beautifully aligned with who you are and how you want to live. And this, my fire moon goddesses, is where the hidden jewel lies. Here is the gift of menopause. So, in order to transform, we need to embrace the chaos. We need to listen to what's coming up. Listen to what our bodies and our minds and our emotions and our souls are saying. We need to revisit and heal our past so that we can transform those past experiences. We get the opportunity to discover what jewels of wisdom we can take from the past into our new cycle of life. And it's really important that we just take those jewels of wisdom with us, and we're not carrying the drama, the unfinished, unresolved issues and situations with us. We've had half our lives learning from those experiences. So we've got a lot of life experiences to review, haven't we? I often refer to our past experiences as being rocks that we gather along the way, putting each one in our backpack as we travel down our life's pathways. And by the time we reach menopause, our backpacks are really heavy with all those life experiences. So this is a perfect time to stop for a while. Take time to look through your backpack, look at each of the rocks in turn, and then crack them open to find the jewel hidden inside. That way we can move forward on our journey, leaving those heavy rocks behind and enjoy a lighter backpack and be carrying some beautiful sparkling jewels with us instead. Yay! Yes, that's how we want to be moving forward. We're in such a powerful time during our menopausal journey where we have this extraordinary natural power that's rising up within us. I call this power your fire moon goddess, and she's within you. She's within you, waiting to be seen and heard. She stirs things up for you. She gives you the power. She gives you the extra support to look at all your old stuff, your old belief patterns, your old dreams, your old experiences. Your fire moon goddess wants you to resolve your old patterns and move forward into a new way of life that's for your highest good. What a beautiful gift this is. This is the gift of menopause. So, I found a rather beautiful jewel inside one of my rocks recently, and I want to share that with you today. I've just got back from spending a month in the UK visiting family and friends, and I also spent a week in Italy with some friends. Now, I used to live in Florence in Italy before I actually moved here to the States. And because I was exploring the south of Italy with friends, I decided to go and revisit Florence after not being there for nearly 7 years. And believe you me, I kept thinking, yes, I'll go. No, I won't. Yes, I will. No, I won't. I did that for quite a while because I was feeling really rather apprehensive about going back there. It was I was in Florence when I was perimenopausal, and a lot of stuff was coming up at the time. I look back now and I didn't really realize it at the time, but I look back now and I see, wow, what was being stirred up for me. So I had an amazing time while I lived there, but I also had some times which were really very uncomfortable for me. I was really on this discovery of finding out aspects of myself and what I wanted from my life. And anyway, I'm not going to start going down that road, but just to say that, I was feeling rather apprehensive about going there. But I decided, no, I would go back. And even though I closed the door on that chapter of my life, right now it was feeling right for me to revisit. Now, during my trip, I also met up with a few dear friends of mine in the UK who I hadn't seen for many years, probably at least 10 years. So, needless to say, this trip meant a lot of revisiting the past for me. But I had an amazing time. It really was a fantastic time for me. And my apprehension for visiting Florence totally and completely disintegrated as soon as I arrived. I think that we can build things up in our minds sometimes, and we can feel some sort of resistance coming up in our bodies, so we back away from it. But I love this saying, what you resist persists. So I think that sometimes if we can actually face the apprehension or whatever uncomfortable feeling we're feeling at the time, we can sometimes find that it just totally disintegrates when we step into it. So meeting up with old friends and visiting old places brought back a lot of memories of who I was at those times. It was a way of seeing who I was then and who I am now. And in some ways, I'm a different person now to how I was then. And in fact, one of my dear, dear friends said how much she would like to see me embracing my psychic abilities again. Yes, I used to be a professional psychic for many years, in fact. So if you don't know me, this will be news to you. I worked from two famous shops in London, Mysteries and Watkins. And in fact, I helped set up a psychic reading service at Watkins bookshop. I did readings for many famous people. I had my own private practice in Trafalgar Square, and I worked as a psychic on a live TV show every week for 5 years. Yes, for 5 years. I also studied healing for a few years at the College of Psychic Studies in London. I trained as a past life therapist and as a bush flower practitioner as well. I taught meditation, and for many years I ran spiritual and personal development retreats. And that's one thing I miss a lot, is running retreats. And so I plan on bringing those back next year. However, even though I was doing all of this and I was very successful, I turned my back on all of that about 10 years ago when I left London and I moved to Florence. Now, why did I turn my back on it? Well, I got totally and utterly burnt out working on TV. To be honest, I got fed up of being treated like a performing monkey. Every single reading I did was a test to see how accurate my psychic skills were. And I have done thousands and thousands and thousands of readings. So I felt tested and scrutinized and judged thousands and thousands and thousands of times. I faced people almost on a daily, well, it was not even almost, it was on a daily basis. People that would be thinking things like, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to give anything away. And I'm going to see if she can tell me things that only I know. Let's see how good she is. She has to prove it to me. So by saying that and having that attitude, they would shut down their energy, and it made it even more difficult for me to make a connection with them. So I would have to work extra hard just to get through their barriers, let alone to then start being able to receive some psychic information that would help them. It was exhausting, and it was downright awful to be judged and treated like this. So that's one thing that I got really fed up of. And the other thing that didn't sit well with me was that people only wanted to hear a particular response from me. The one question I heard so many times was, when is my ex coming back? Yep, people would ask that question over and over and over again. When is my ex coming back? Now, the thing was, if somebody asked me that question and I couldn't feel a connection coming from their ex, if I could feel that that person they were asking about had completely detached and moved on, I would decide to move into a blend of psychic and life coaching techniques. I would work with them so that they could begin to discover how they could start moving on with their life. But unfortunately, most people were rarely open to this. All they wanted to hear was that their ex was coming back. And if I didn't say that they would be reunited, then I was a bad psychic. And to be honest, it broke my heart. Over and over again, it broke my heart to just see people stuck in these situations. They would often ask this same question month after month and year after year. And the trouble was that they never wanted to take personal responsibility. And, I can understand that, especially if there's a lot of issues that somebody needs to deal with in order to let go and move on. It can be a very scary thing to think about letting go and moving on. And a lot of times I would actually recommend that they find a therapist that could help them with resolving their past, but they just weren't interested in doing that. They just wanted to ask the question, when is he coming back? And they would just go round every single psychic until they found somebody that said that they were coming back. And yeah, the whole process was really sad and defeating for me. And well, you know what? There is a jewel in all of this. I learned the lesson that you can only help people that want to be helped. And that is so vitally important to understand. In my opinion, a psychic reading should be a beautiful, insightful, and soulful tool to provide a beacon of light when you're feeling lost or uncertain or in need of clarification and direction. A psychic reading isn't telling you what to do. It simply highlights what you already know deep inside. But right now, you just can't see it. It gets you in touch with your soul's wisdom so that you can really find your inner truth and express that fully in your life. Creating a life for yourself that you absolutely love, where you recognize your unique gifts and you share them with the world and you shine your light out there brightly. I think there's a song about that, isn't there? So my recent visit to the UK and Italy transported me back into the past, and it helped me to look at one of my old rocks and break it open and find a beautiful jewel inside. And that jewel is about bringing back my psychic abilities. So yes, it's time for my psychic abilities to be woken up again. And I'm leaving the rock behind. That rock that symbolizes all the exhaustion, the burnout, the judgment, the need to prove myself, the sense of failure I had when people didn't take personal responsibility, all of that heavy energy is being left behind. That's all the rock that I'm just dumping right there on the path. I don't need that anymore. My jewel that I found inside this rock represents my pure psychic ability, and that it doesn't have to be tied to the past, because my rock is being left on the path and I'm taking my jewel with me. My jewel is now free of the rock. I don't have to actually use my psychic abilities in the same way as I did then. When I looked at this sparkling jewel, when my friend pointed out to me about using my psychic abilities again, I looked at it in a different light. I recognized what a wonderful, soulful tool I have that can help people gain clarity and understanding and direction. And there's no better time to offer this when we're moving through the chaos of menopause, is there? Oh my word. Menopause is a massive time of chaos and of rebirth. Menopause is a beautiful gift that helps us transition into a more meaningful and soulful way of living. But if you're not seeing menopause as a beautiful gift right now, if you're not seeing it as something soulful, and you're finding yourself stuck in the chaos, finding yourself struggling with menopausal issues, if you feel that you're lost, uncertain, or you're caught up in just confusion, then I'd be absolutely honored to provide some psychic insight into your life so that you can crack open those rocks, find the jewels inside, and just take those beautiful sparkling jewels with you into your new cycle of life. So I am really happy to have created a new offering for you. I've created a psychic reading where you get to awaken your fire moon goddess and discover your jewels of wisdom. Now, your fire moon goddess is the powerful, empowered, certain, focused, vibrant you who's in touch with your soul's wisdom, who's expressing your truth, expressing your natural talents with the world in a joyful and an effortless way that brings you some beautiful fulfillment in your life. Your fire moon goddess helps you live a life that's aligned to your soul. So this reading will help you to get in touch with her, to get in touch with all of those beautiful, empowered aspects within you that are hidden or you've forgotten about or need reawakening. And this reading will also, of course, help you to find the jewels inside your rocks. So we'll look at what rocks are weighing you down. We'll crack them open together, and you can find the jewels inside them. So this offering for you is called Awaken Your Fire Moon Goddess and Discover Your Jewels of Wisdom. Now, one thing that I do want to make clear, this is really important to make clear, is that I'm not a therapist. This isn't a psychological therapy session. If you have some difficult issues in your life, so maybe you're dealing with trauma, or you have a mental illness, or there's something else that's really deeply affecting you right now that you feel that you need some professional help with, then it's really important that you see a licensed medical professional for that. What I'm offering is support, some intuitive insight, some guidance and a helping hand to access your soul's wisdom. I can help you awaken your fire moon goddess so that you can discover your new true self as you transition through menopause. I can help you see through any confusion and doubts and uncertainties. Visualize it this way. I'm sitting with you as you're sitting down at a crossroads in your life. You're going through the rocks in your backpack. And I'm sitting there next to you as you do this, and I'm perhaps pointing things out to you and highlighting things about these rocks that you haven't seen before. And I'm there to help you crack them open. And I'm there to just be so joyful and happy when you find those jewels inside. And then once we find the jewels inside, I am actually a trained life coach as well. I can move into some coaching and I can help you to find some steps forward. I can help you formulate a new pathway so that you can create the life you want. You can create a life that's beautifully aligned to your soul. So, because offering my psychic readings like this is a rather sudden and unexpected turn of the path for me with Soulful Menopause, I hadn't planned this at all. I've decided to begin by only offering these readings until the 21st of December 2019. So that's the 21st of December this year. After that, I'm going to review how the whole process is going. But I already have an idea that these readings will become part of a program. So this could possibly, I'm not sure, but it could possibly be your only opportunity to get a reading with me, by itself, without being a part of a program or something else. And most certainly, these readings will be a lot more expensive than they are right now. That's for absolute sure. So if this is something that interests you, if you'd love to awaken your fire moon goddess and discover your jewels of wisdom, then please head to soulfulmenopause.com and go to the Work With Me page for the full details. Now, I will actually put a link in the show notes for you too. So just head to soulfulmenopause.com and go to the Work With Me page, and you'll find all the details on there. And all you need to do is look for the program that says Awaken Your Fire Moon Goddess and Discover Your Jewels of Wisdom. Okay, so head to that for all of the details. So that's one of my jewels that I'm thrilled to be sharing with you right now. And I really hope that we have an opportunity to find your hidden jewels together. To find out more about how you can live a soulful menopause, please visit soulfulmenopause.com. I'm really looking forward to being with you again soon. Bye for now.